The others didn't know, except Rob. Caitlin felt sure Rob knew, but even not knowing, they'd treated him pretty badly tonight. No one had said anything complimentary about him saving Kate. Lewis and Anna had kept their distance, as if they expected him to pull a switchblade on them any minute, and Rob had watched him with a steady, smouldering fury. Rob. She wouldn't think about Rob now. She couldn't take the agitation. Anna was breathing peacefully on the other side of the bedroom. Caitlin glanced at her, a motionless shape in the darkness, then very carefully and quietly got out of bed. She shouldered into her robe and slipped noiselessly out the door. The study was dim. Kate sat on the window seat in the alcove, her chin on her knees. Outside, a few lights shone through waving tree branches. Then she noticed that light was also shining through the curtains in Gabriel's room. What she did then was born of sheer impulse. If she'd thought about it, she never would have gone through with it, but she didn't give herself time to think. She jumped off the window seat and went to knock on his door. A very quiet knocking, in case he was asleep with the light on, but after only an instant, the door opened. He was wearing a rather sleepy scowl. "What?" he said ungallantly. "Come into the study," Caitlin whispered. The scowl disappeared, changing into a dazzling bare-teeth smile. "No, you come in here." He was daring her, Caitlin realized. All right, great. She proved she trusted him. Head very high, back straight, she swept by him. She sat down on the desk chair. She glanced around unobtrusively. The room was as nice as Lewis had said. Huge bed, matching furniture, acres of space. It seemed bare of personal possessions though. Maybe Gabriel didn't have any. Slowly, watching her, Gabriel sat down on the bed. He'd left the door a little ajar. Caitlin, motivated by what she didn't know what, got up and closed it. "You're crazy, you know," Gabriel said unemotionally as she resumed her seat. "I wanted to say thank you," Caitlin said. "And that I'm not afraid of you," she added silently. She still couldn't figure out what she felt about Gabriel, even whether she liked him or hated him. But he had saved her from a very bad situation. Gabriel didn't look gratified by the thanks. "And that's all?" he said mockingly. "Of course. You're not just a little curious?" When Caitlin blinked at him, he leaned forward. His teeth were bared again. "You don't even want to know?" Caitlin felt distaste pinching her features. "You mean about the murder?" Gabriel said, his dazzling grin getting nastier by the minute. Fear uncoiled in Caitlin's stomach. He was right. She was crazy. What was she doing here, sitting in his bedroom? 2 days ago, she wouldn't have sat in any guy's bedroom, and now she was chatting with a killer. But Joyce wouldn't have brought him to the Institute if he was really dangerous, she thought. Joyce wouldn't take that risk. Caitlin said slowly, "Was it really murder?" Then she looked straight up at Gabriel. His expression changed as he met her eyes, as if she'd startled him. Then he seemed to regain his balance. "I called it self-defense, but the judge didn't agree," he said. His eyes were now cold as ice. Something inside Caitlin relaxed. "Self-defense," she said. Gabriel looked at her for a long moment, then away. Of course, the other one wasn't self-defense. The first one. "He's trying to shock you," Caitlin told herself. "He's succeeding," her mind whispered back. "I'd better go," she said. He was very fast. She was closer to the door, but before she could reach it, he was in front of her, blocking it. "Oh no," he said. "Don't you want to hear all about it?" Those dark grey eyes were strange, almost fixed, as if he were looking right through her. His expression was strange too, as if he were covering unbearable tension with mockery and derision. Caitlin could see the glint of clenched teeth between his parted lips. "Stop it, Gabriel," she said. "I'm going." "Don't be shy." "I'm not shy, you jerk," she snapped. "I'm just sick of you." She tried to push past him, and he wouldn't let her. They tussled. Caitlin found out very quickly how much stronger he was. Stupid, stupid, she thought, trying to get her hand free to hit him. How had she gotten herself into this mess? Her heart was going like a trip hammer, and her chest felt as if it would burst. She was going to have to scream unless he stopped her. Choked her, maybe. Was that what he'd done to the others? Maybe he'd used a knife. Maybe he cut them. Or maybe it had been something even worse. She and Gabriel had been struggling silently, their faces inches apart. Caitlin's mind was dark with imaginings of how he might have killed before. And then it all stopped. Caitlin's fantasies were cut off as if somebody had slammed down a window in her mind. And all because of the look in Gabriel's eyes. Grief. Guilt, too, plenty of that, but mainly grief. A kind Caitlin recognised, the kind that makes you nearly bite through your lips so you won't make a noise. The kind Caitlin could remember from when she was 8 years old, when her mother died. Gabriel, with his handsome, arrogant face and his savage, bared teeth, was trying to make the tears go away. Caitlin stopped struggling with him, realising in the moment she did that he hadn't hurt her. He'd been blocking her, restraining her, but he hadn't bruised her. "Okay," she said, her voice loud in the silence. "So tell me then." It caught him off guard, actually rocked him backward. For a moment he looked shocked and vulnerable. Then his face hardened. He was taking it as a challenge. "I will," he snarled back. He let go of her and stepped away, a hunted, constrained movement. His chest was rising and falling quickly. "You've all been wondering what I do," he said, "haven't you?" "Yes," Kate said. She moved cautiously away from the door. "Is that so surprising?" "No." He laughed, a very bitter laugh. It's what everyone wants to know. But when they find out, they don't like it. He turned and looked at her with mock bewilderment. "For some reason, they seem to be scared of me." Caitlin didn't smile. "I know what it's like," she said flatly to the carpet. "When they're scared of you. When they can't look you in the eye and they kind of edge away when you get close." She looked up at him. Something flickered in his eyes, then he shook his head, turning away. "You don't know what it's like when they're so scared that they hate you. When they want to kill you because they're so scared that you'll what? Read their minds, steal their souls, take your pick." There was a silence. Ice crept along Caitlin's spine. She was bewildered and afraid. "Is that what you do?" she said, fighting to keep her voice above a whisper. "No." A cold knot in Caitlin's stomach loosened slightly, until he turned around and looked at her with calm grey eyes of a madman. "It's not as simple as that. Do you want to know how it works?" Caitlin didn't move, didn't speak. She just looked at him. He spoke precisely, as if giving a lecture. Anytime two minds make contact, there's a transfer of energy. That's what contact is, the transfer of a certain kind of energy, back and forth. Energy carrying information. You understand? Robert talked about energy, channeling energy, but maybe that had been a different kind. "Go on," Caitlin said. "The problem is that some minds are stronger than others, more powerful. And if a strong mind contacts a weaker one, things can get out of control." He stopped, looking at the dark curtain window. "How?" Caitlin whispered. He didn't seem to hear her. "How can it get out of control, Gabriel?" Still looking at the window, he said, "You know how water flows from a high place to a low place, or how electricity keeps trying to find a ground for its force? Well, when two minds touch, energy flows, back and forth. But the stronger mind always has more pull." "Like a magnet?" Caitlin asked quietly. She'd never been great at science, but she did know that the bigger the magnet, the stronger it was. A magnet? Maybe at first, but if something happens, if things get off balance, it's more like a black hole. All the energy flows out of the weaker mind, the strong one drains it, sucks it dry. He was standing very still, every muscle rigid. His hands were shoved in his pockets, fingers clenched, and his grey eyes were so bleak and lonely that Caitlin was glad he wasn't looking at her. She said evenly, "You're a telepath." They called it something different. They called me a psychic vampire. And I felt sorry for myself, Caitlin thought, just because I couldn't help people, because my drawings were useless. But his gift makes him kill.